Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CG Cookie live stream. This is we're starting week 4 of the class. And let's see, last week was exciting with the interior. We're going to be looking at some of my favorite submissions, and I'm excited to dive into those. But yeah, welcome. It's been a fun convo so far, talking about lighting a lot and some questions about lighting versus the artistry of lighting versus modeling and filmic and all that stuff. It makes me think that I need to do a stream on lighting or a class on lighting sometime soon, because there's a lot to discuss about that. But anyway, you've piqued my interest. So it's good to see you guys. Good to hang out again. And let's we're going to be getting into vehicle concept sculpting. That's what we're going to focus on this week, and also the demo will be a lot of me sculpting today, so it should be a lot of fun. It's going to be very exploratory, but before we get into that, as usual, we're going to look at week 3 and talk about some standout submissions. And first of all, as Thibaut pointed out, that it was quite difficult for me to land on my favorites. It's always like a subjective thing, just the ones that I remembered the most or that struck me the most kind of thing, not objectively like these are the best submissions or anything like that. But there were so many good ones, and throughout the week, me personally realizing how difficult it is to model an interior. Pretty much anyone who submitted, I don't think I gave anyone below an A. So it was either A or A plus is what you got, just because I'm very aware now of how difficult it was. So I'm aware of all the hard work that was put in this week. So all that to say, there were no bad submissions, but these two in particular struck me the most. And it's Aaron Rudderham. It's your Rolls-Royce limousine. You've been very diligent in posting work in progress throughout the month at every stage, but this week in particular, seeing your interior come to life and addressing all the different pieces, and you kept lighting it the whole way, which I thought was a great way to preview. It was going over and beyond, really seeing this in context. So just awesome job. I mean, the level, you have an elongated car, so the level of detail you have to address is arguably more than most of us. And so you were very diligent in addressing those. You gave them a lot of attention, and that was very obvious to me. So amazing job, Aaron. It turned out super well. It's been well worth the wait. I hope for you it's very satisfying to see how far this has come. And the lighting, you even said that it was kind of simplified materials, just kind of basic blocking it out, but they're reading very well. I mean, I look at the steering wheel, for example, and I don't think that can really be improved at a material level, frankly, at least from this distance. You've got a nice wood material in there, just going above and beyond to really set the context for this, and it shows, and it's turned out very well. The one note that I had was on the kind of sculpt quality on the leather or the seats, to give a little bit more life to those. I applaud the effort. It's maybe not quite reading like worn leather, but you kind of mentioned you didn't put it, you weren't able to put as much time into that. But if you wanted to spend some time sculpting and polishing off that cloth level, let's see, I'm seeing from Greg. Does anyone have video? Okay, refresh. Yeah, sorry about that, Greg. I don't think the site automatically refreshes. You kind of have to do that. But yeah, besides that minor note on the cloth, the level of cloth-ish sculpting on the seats, I mean, this is an amazing model, amazing, even lighting too. So great job, Aaron. Thank you for posting. Thank you for participating and showing us what you can do. So Jake as well, you did an incredible job with your classic truck interior. You even went as far as to light and render it, shade it. You can see some nice leathery details. I would say, as far as the shading goes, I would say it doesn't quite accentuate the details as much as it could. I think maybe it looks a little too perfect, a little too new. But we're not here. I'm not really here to actually judge that. But I wanted to segue over into your matte cap screenshots. The detail is so evident in these, and the diligence that you've shown in addressing all areas of the interior, the switches and knobs, and just the fineness of the ridges in the floor mats, for example, like that that could have been like a normal map or cheated or omitted, but you modeled that in. So I applaud that. The tiny little ridges and the petals, just a very good, very commendable attention to detail that you've shown in this model. And even the very subtle, like, you know, these, the dot, what are they called? The speedometer, the dials, I guess, like, that's not the word I'm looking for, but these little circles that show the speedometer and stuff, the little tiny, you know, outset or extrusion here on the top and bottom, like that, I don't know, that struck me as like you could have gotten away with not doing that, but you didn't. You were very loyal to the authenticity of the design, and it just turned out to be an amazing model. So incredible work. The gauges, thank you, Thibaut. The gauges. Man, I would be lost without plenty of honorable mentions. Again, like if you guys finished your interior, I was very, very happy with all of them, frankly. And so, Jerry, your interior just struck me as something very familiar, something that looked very believable, that I could sit into and feel like I was sitting in there. It reminded me of my old Honda Civic from when I was in high school. For some reason, it just took me there. And while I can see a little bit of pinching, you know, here and there, really it's a minor thing. Overall, this is a very accurate, very thorough model, and it impressed me. So I liked that one. Bach, your concept model of the hover bike. You know, you had no reference whatsoever for this dashboard, and you filled in that gap anyway, and it matches the style. It's a very high level of detail, down to the screws and like little rivets and bits like that. Also, this little piece right here, how it's like what do you call it? Like a piece of trim kind of going around. Like that stuff really, really goes a long way as far as like the detail level. So anyway, you just knocked it out of the park. Thibaut, you were relentless with your level of detail on all the gauges, switches, knobs, and stuff in your Mack truck. Very evident, and that was fun to see come together. Yeah, just there's something about with modelers, I think, seeing high levels of detail that just, I don't know, motivate us. They're cool, they inspire us, and that was certainly the case with your Mack truck. Mr. Dojo, I'm so happy that you finished your truck model, the exterior. I mean, this is one of the this model has probably the most character that I've seen in the class, and it's stylized. I mean, no one did stylized as far as I can tell, but like that wasn't really the point. But you did, and you've owned it, and it's been so much fun to see come to life. I'm glad you finished it. The only thing is, I would say that right now, if it's a matte cap or whatever the visual display is, it's kind of washing out some areas, and I feel like it's not showcasing the model as well as it could be. So I don't know if it's just a different matte cap or even like a clay render. I think would be just amazing if you wanted to go ahead and do that. I think that would just showcase it to its best potential. And then Jeremy, your steampunk vehicle, you were one of the first to submit, and it just turned out great. You know, like it matches the level of detail as the rest of the car. I love the red. It feels like an old-timey, you know, a classic kind of vehicle, which works with this steampunk aesthetic. Yeah, and it turned out really well. If I had a note, it would be, it's subjective, but like there doesn't seem to be as many steampunk features on the interior as there are on the exterior. So whether that's little wires, you know, hanging out there, bits of gold, embroidering stuff, that would be kind of nice, I guess, like as on an aesthetic sense. But as far as what the course, you know, what the week was about, modeling a full interior, you nailed that, and it looks great. So these are my favorites. Actually, one more from Martin. This was posted today, so it kind of got added late. But I love the final quality of this BMW that you built. I mean, I loved it from the beginning. All the complex curvature just really got me excited, knowing, you know, how hard that can be to create, and it turned out super well. I love the shading quality. I like that you accentuate the difference in curvatures with like this carbon fiber material next to the candy apple style paint. Yeah, I mean, it just turned out really, really well. So you should be very proud of this. I saw some people who agreed, like, just incredible model in the thread. So great job. Thanks for submitting that. I'm glad that got in and was able to be commended. Awesome. And okay, I got to say again, like the community, you still continue to be an amazing place to learn. The level of advice and help and encouragement just continues to make this a wonderful place to learn. So thank you for being awesome. I guess I expect no less at this point, but still I feel like it's worthy to note. So thank you for that. Okay, my interior progress. I guess I like to do these classes along with you and model alongside. So I should probably show where I got to. And I'll say right away that I did not finish. So I completely relate to anyone who did not get all of the details that they wanted. I mean, it really did seem like a black hole trying to get every little piece modeled. I mean, I would start at like blocking it in, and then I would go to level 1 of detail. And I think I expected like level 2, you know, like level 1 being the basic shapes like this, the dashboard, you know, the main piece of the dashboard, and then go to level 1, which would be the areas of trim like this. Wait a minute. Like this stuff, that would be level 1. And then level 2 would be the buttons, I guess. But like, I feel like I underestimated level 2 and even got into level 3. There's just so many areas to detail, I think, appropriately. And I did not quite get there. But I mean, I like the way that it's going. It seems to be a general consensus from everyone that if they didn't get as far as they wanted, they were very happy with where they got to. And I was in that boat as well. And I do intend to finish it. I'd like to work on it this week, maybe get all the buttons, you know, the stick shift, or I guess it's going to have to be an automatic to be maybe make the most sense, but as being kind of a futuristic concept sort of car. But I need to model the shifter, a bunch of buttons and dials, whatever this thing is that comes out of the arm, you know, or out of the steering wheel column, you know, that like, for me, it turns on the windshield wipers, stuff like that. But so many more areas. I want to put a mat on the floor, which I did not intend to. I thought this would be fine, and then I started adding all these pieces, and I'm like, the floor looks so plain. Of course, there's going to be a mat on there, but anyway, I intend to finish it, and I more than ever relate to like how much work it was this week. In a future class, maybe I'll make it 2 weeks for the interior to really try and encourage people to push and get to a high level of detail. And what made me realize how far away I was what made me realize it was this user, Roman Volkov. He's next level with the interiors. If you look at his profile, and I've mentioned him before, but like unreal levels of detail. And he models all this. Like this isn't a CAD model that he got from somewhere and like brought it into Blender for shading and lighting. Like he models all these bits on his own. And I didn't really realize that until here he shares, kind of buried in his profile, he shares a Blender artist link to his work in progress. So I highly recommend you check this out. You can see his process, and I mean, next level quality of modeling. He's leaving no stone unturned, full detail. It's unbelievable. Yeah, holy guacamole is the right approach, the right word to put to this. But his interiors are just, they're perfect. I mean, they're as perfect as I've ever seen it. And that's kind of where I want to get to. He also shades and lights it beautifully. So that's inspiring me to want to do a shading and lighting class as well for the vehicle particularly. Let's see, he has one, let's see, where is he? Whoops. Yeah, so he has one interior. This one, the leather seats just look perfect. I mean, all the materials are top notch. That's what I want to go to. And with that, all these knobs and stuff, I realized I could not bypass that stuff. I had to really get in there and model every square inch. And so that's kind of what I want to do, and also eventually lead into another class about shading and lighting this vehicle and all of our vehicles. That would be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's where I got to. It's been a lot of fun, but I still have some work to do. And that brings us to week 4, vehicle concept sculpting. It is a bit of a departure. So I wonder if people are wondering why, you know, we would do concept sculpting, and I see it as an exercise in freeing your mind, right? Because as modelers, in general, I think some people can be too dependent on reference, or not just reference, but especially like blueprints. You know, if they don't have a means to if they don't have resources to reference, then they are kind of stuck in the water as modelers. And while reference is super important, and I never want to encourage not avoiding reference, it's a good exercise to try and like expand and do more with less reference kind of stuff, and exercise your creative part of you. And so that's kind of what I want to do with the sculpting vehicles. I see it as an opportunity to create never before seen designs, like concept sculpting in general. Like sculpting, often you don't have like explicit reference, so it's inherently going to be more artistic, but require you to fill in the gaps, that kind of stuff. But especially with hard surface sculpting, just kind of naturally, you're going to be creating shapes that you've never seen before. And I think that's fun. And I think that's a good part of our skill set to explore. Not that we're going to be car designers, in a strict sense, but I don't know. I think it's just a fun thing to do. And it's going to challenge your dependency on reference. That's going to be a good thing anytime you're challenged. I think break out of your box. And we've started in week 2 being explicitly dependent on reference, like match this perfectly, do the best of your ability, match this blueprint. And then in week 3, we are filling in more gaps, like we don't have blueprints for interiors. So we have photos and we can kind of ballpark the vent needs to go in around this area. The steering wheel goes about here. The buttons go around about at this point, but none of it was like perfectly placed, I would say. And unless someone approach it differently. I certainly had to ballpark and fill in a lot of gaps. Being a concept vehicle myself, I was always looking at Lamborghini interiors, Tesla interiors, a Ferrari, those kind of things, just to get ideas of like what buttons can be shaped like. So anyway, that's to say week 3 last week was somewhere in the middle. Like we were still using reference heavily, but also expanding and filling in the gaps. But this week is more even less on reference and more on filling in gaps and designing stuff ourselves. And so, yeah, it's going to expand our skill set too. That's why I want to do it this week. It is a bit of a departure. We're not going to be, I would actually encourage you not to sculpt the vehicle that you modeled already. I would say try, even if it's not natural, it's probably not going to be natural, try to do something unique. Do a vehicle you've never seen before. Be inspired by an object that you've never thought of before, and I'll kind of talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, so that's kind of why we're doing it. I hope you have fun. Like if it goes wrong and you try and do it and you spend a couple hours and you hate what you come up with, that's okay. I just want you to try it and see what you come up with. But yeah, I mean, don't feel like you have to spend 8 hours on the concept sculpture unless you get really into it and want to perfect it. So yeah, the agenda, we're going to sculpt a vehicle, exterior from scratch, forget the interior. And this is going to practice our hard surface sculpting techniques and really, push against a design skill set. We want to practice that and at least explore it. The pre-recorded courses to watch, Sculpting a Sci-Fi Weapon. That one, let's go look at that real quick. Let's see. Blender. I should probably just search for it. Right here. So this one, as far as workflow, incorporates a lot of the same ideas, but it does use reference, so we are trying to match the reference. So that's a little bit of a departure. But like as far as how to achieve hard surface shapes whenever you're sculpting, this is very useful for that. And then the other one is the Sci-Fi Helmet course, which does not have reference. And it's not a car, but it literally if you're not familiar with it, we take a ball essentially and just start hacking away at it, and the purpose being to create unique shapes so that the model kind of creates itself. Once we get something cool, we continue forward with it. But like if we don't like it, we throw it away. That kind of mindset is what I want us to get into. Exploratory. So those are the courses that you can lean on this week. And then the homework assignment, just sculpt a unique concept vehicle. Whether it takes you an hour or two and it's a frustrating hour or two and you just you do something in that hour, that's fine. Or if you go longer and really get into it and take several hours and publish a final, polished piece. Either way, I just want you to try and explore this technique. So I've seen people talking and in the chat, and I just want to make sure that I'm not... Okay, missing any questions? Awesome. Cool. All right. If you have questions, remember the thing that helps me is to add the question prefix, just like Greg did at the beginning of the question. Does it have to be a concept? I'll say no. It can't. Let's see. As far as Mr. Dojo, it can be any type of vehicle, a bike, a UFO, a ship, whatever. But just it doesn't have to be a car specifically. Any kind of vehicle. But Greg, I mean, if you really don't want to, do a concept like something from scratch, I think that would be fun. That's kind of part of the purpose, is to try and explore something new rather than just create a reference. But if you want to sculpt like an existing vehicle, I mean, sure, go ahead and try that. That's fine. Yeah, just do that. Cool. All right, so that's what we're doing, and we are going to spend the next probably hour and a half sculpting a new concept vehicle. I should say, let's see, Greg said, I want to do a submersible that I found images of but no blueprints. Yeah, you can do that. I would love to see some semblance of you like exploring unique shapes. So if you want to use a piece of concept art for a sub, I don't know, but I won't hold it against you for trying to match it perfectly, but I would love to see something unique, like put your own spin on it and do something with sculpting that is hasn't been done before. Jeremy, vehicle question mark. I mean, is it okay if I go for a semi-vehicle, semi-robot? Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, Transformers, robots in disguise, right? I have a project in mind. I have a project for sometimes, and I'm stuck with my model. Maybe Sculpt can unlock my mind. Yeah. Okay, there you go. That's a great reason to try and go about it. So I think that's awesome. Go for it. Now, I should say before we get into this, I have sculpted 2 concept vehicles. We can maybe take a look at those. And I'm kind of giggling because they're not great. They're not groundbreaking, I would say. Where are these? Car Sculpting 1. So this is the first one that I did, and it's kind of whatever. It's a sports car, very, I think, generic sports car, even though I didn't really use any reference explicitly, but maybe there's like a type of car kind of embedded. After seeing cars my whole life, this kind of came out, and it does look very typical, I would say. So I guess I'm trying to preface you that I'm not as much of a designer as I want to be. So don't expect like this to be a lesson so much in good design as much as it is workflow and trying to push up against the walls of design as modelers. So that was my first one. And then I did another one today that was, let me see where that is. So this one's a little bit different. I tried to be inspired by a cheetah. Like I wanted to look at an object or an animal that represented speed and try and put that into a car. And I think I don't know. I don't know if this is cool. I kind of like it from the back, but I don't know. It didn't strike me as very, very cool, but maybe that's what I'm just going for that. Anyway, like if you get to a level like this would easily pass for the class, for the week. But really, I'm just trying to tell you that I'm not a great designer. I want to be, but I'm not a great designer. Saw the wheels as legs immediately. Really? Well, that's awesome. So I want to ask you guys, should I did this one as a rehearsal, the cheetah one, and then thinking like if it went well, I would just repeat that for you guys. Or would you like me to try and do something unique? Like, so I picked a cheetah. What if I pick like a jet or a stealth jet and try and incorporate that into a car? It's probably pretty common. I think a lot of designers do that. But if you would like to see this cheetah car, or you'd like to see something unique and therefore unexplored territory, say like 1 for the cheetah car and press 2 for the brand new something different. And let me know. Kind of looks like the Halo Warthog from Panboy. Yeah, initially I put the wheels like way out, like out here kind of thing. Maybe not this far. And added these little like extensions so that it would more be like legs, but it kind of looked weird. very much in between like a warthog and a sports car. All right, so I'm seeing, let's see, I'm seeing a lot of 2s. All right, that's fair. I mean, that's probably going to be more exciting to see something unique. But all right, so with that in mind, I mean, maybe we can make this very interactive. I'm thinking like a stealth jet as far as inspiration. Like a stealth jet. Does anyone have any other recommendations, like objects or animals that I could use as reference? So yeah, if anyone has a suggestion, type that into the chat. Let me know, and I'll pick whichever one maybe feels the coolest, and we'll go with that. Jeremy, question: did you begin by some separated pieces, or did you sculpt independently just a cube? This one starts as a cube, so I'm going to show you that. Well, like a subdivided cube, and just I start pulling pieces around. I don't start with separate pieces. This is very much sculpt heavy workflow. Yeah, so yeah, the scale I wasn't too concerned about. I just wanted to get sculpting. But yeah, it's probably massive. A killer whale. Okay, I like that. That's a good idea. So we got killer whale, something futuristic from Wilco, hypersonic missile base that is a glider for personal transport, not weaponry. Hypersonic missile base. Holy cow. Poochie from, all right, let's look at Poochie from Yoshi's Woolly World. That would be a cool car. I also should say, I would like this to look cool, you know, more like in the badass realm rather than super cute. An eagle, okay. I got an eagle, a hypersonic missile base, which I like, but I'm not sure that I kind of, maybe that would be military plane, like a stealth, kind of in that realm. Let's see, getting some good suggestions. This is kind of fun. Oh, wow. Okay. Check that out. It's kind of like a BB-8, but like a big vehicle. A beetle cycle. Oh, a beetle. Something with strong hind legs. Sculpting would be a great approach to figure out some Protoss style vehicles from StarCraft. Let's see. Let's look at some eagle pictures. So the pose is going to be pretty important. Ooh, I kind of like this. You know, with like the wings spread out. I mean, that could be cool for like wheel wells sort of things. Interesting. That could be kind of cool. And then the front, you know, could probably have like a really distinct point like the beak. Look at this guy. This kind of makes me want to create a creature rather than a car. All right, so eagle's a good one. Let's see, was there anyone else? There was a killer whale. I want to see that too. See if either one of these kind of stick out to me. I do like your idea. Maybe for some reason I'm stuck on it being cool rather than cute. You could turn these eagle wings into rotor mounts. Modern flying car concept. Rotor mounts. Maybe they fold up. Oh, if you send me a picture of what that means. I don't know exactly what rotor mounts means, unless it's like yeah, send me a picture if you can what that means. All-terrain vehicle similar to a simian. Oh, wait, is that like an ape or like a, what is it, Neanderthal? Huh. I don't know, maybe I'm leaning a little bit toward, I didn't really look at the killer whale very much. So the killer whale, the only thing about the killer whale is it looks like a submarine. It looks too simplified as the shape. Like I can't get a lot of inspiration from just the very roundness. An insect is kind of cool. I'll probably just choose the eagle and we'll see how it goes. So should I do, let's see. I'm going to go with an eagle. I like that. I was especially caught by this image. And so, with that in mind, what I did earlier, we'll try this approach. Just gonna create a new document. I'm using Photoshop. Sorry, it's not Krita or GIMP, but I'm just a little more used to Photoshop. And all I'm trying to do in here is add, you know, like isolate some design features that I would want to accentuate. Thank you for the suggestions, by the way. That was fun. It's cool to see like where people's minds go. Whatever you suggested, like maybe do that yourself, because I would like to see, you know, Silent Heart. I would like to see a cute vehicle. This doesn't have to be cool, whatever you do, but like, you know, cute is awesome. Whatever you're inspired by, definitely go for that. Cool. All right, so what I'm seeing from this vehicle, as far as features on this eagle, without a doubt, is this wing shape. Maybe I should use the smoothing. Like this shape to me is like a no-brainer. That has to be part of it. I am sort of seeing wheel wells, like I mentioned earlier. So like the wheel wells could come up like big, you know, eagle wings. I'm wondering if the front of the car can kind of be, I wonder if this would look cool. Something like a really strong point. I don't know, just kind of thinking out loud. Yeah, maybe we'll run with this, see where we get. But what about, I'm trying to think, we've got the wheel wells, we've got the front of the car, but what, is there anything about the eagle that feels like the overall body shape? I'm thinking like, how could this be? Wait a minute. I'm still thinking in like a car. What if I ditch the car idea and just go with some sort of hovercraft? That could be kind of cool. I'm more comfortable with the car because I'm more aware of those parts, especially recently. Whereas getting into, I don't want to end the demo with like just a weird block shape that doesn't have a clear context. So I'm just trying to think through this a little bit. Just imagining in my head, let me add a new layer. What if I try and take this overall shape and turn into like a hovercraft? So, you know, if we have like a cockpit in here, bear with me as I try and think through this. And then the wings, let me see if I'm getting some good ideas from you guys. Reminds me of a Deus Ex helicopter. Let's see what that looks like. I would hate for this to like, I guess if I did my rehearsal, I would be confident that I would get you somewhere by the end of the demo. Oh yeah, totally. I see. Oh yeah, definitely see some eagle inspiration there. Well, this actually helps me because maybe I could turn into a car. Like maybe is an obvious choice to go with a hovercraft or some sort of flying vehicle, but might be a unique take to turn into a car. I think I am going to lean into a car. And what this does is it kind of gives me an interesting shape for the car. I kind of like this stealthy surface quality too. Make an ecranoplan. What in the world? You guys know some things that I don't. Know some words that I don't. What in the world is that? Ecranoplane? What in the world? Holy cow. Guys, what is this thing? Looks like a jet, like a jet plane water boat. That's wild. All right, I'm going to try not to spend too much more time trying to figure out a thing to make. I'm going to try and create a concept vehicle inspired by an eagle, and we'll see how it goes. So let's see. I need to maybe save this eagle image. Put that in classes. Sure, we'll put it here. Eagle ref. All right, let's go over to Blender and start getting to work. Start from scratch, file new. First thing I'll do is bring up this eagle image as being a very loose inspirational reference. All right. And it is super hot in here, so I'm gonna turn on my fan. I don't think it should be annoying. No one has complained about it yet, but if it for some reason is creating a lot of noise that's annoying, I will turn it off. The doors can be the wings. They open and slide up. That's true. That's a good idea. So then I guess would I sculpt the car with its doors open? It's not a bad idea. Car has wings that extend out and become a drone. That's not a bad idea. So I am kind of limited to a manta ray. Gav, that's a good idea as well for like an inspiration. But I do want to, I think I'm just going to try and create a like static exterior. Not that like the wing or the doors couldn't open and become wings and I could further the design element of the eagle into other features. But I'm going to try and just do a static exterior. That's about as much time as I'm going to have. So I've got a cube. I'm just going to move it up to the floor. I mean, that really doesn't matter, actually. And then let's see, Control 3, maybe Control 4. And we're just going to Alt-C to apply that mesh. And let's see, what was the other image? Okay, yeah. I am going to use this, I think, just to inspire a general body shape first. I kind of like the rigidness of everything. Like, it's not curvy as much as it is stealthy and faceted. I kind of like that. We'll see if I can make that stick. But all right, so I've got the object created and applied. I think no modifiers. Just creating a nice ball with a decent amount of geometry, and then go to dynamic topology. Detail size, I'm going to go straight down to 5 because in my practicing I realized I needed more detail. Let's see. Oh, Martin, a wing for your car inspiration. Let's look at that. This ecranoplane is wild. Yeah, that's an awesome idea. Are those suicide doors? Is that what you call those? Where they kind of come up? Anyway, that's brilliant. I love it. Where was I? Yeah. All right, so let's start with just a simple shape. The shape of the body first. I'm going to grab my snake hook brush. Also, since this is a car, actually the first thing I want to do, let's just save this real quick, as Car Sculpting 3. I'm going to go open the vehicle that I have modeled for the class. Whoops. And for this, I'm just going to copy my wheels. Just going to grab those. I think I got all the pieces. Control C to copy. Jump back over to our car sculpt. Control V. That's why it was so big, Omar. So when I did that earlier, I pasted them into the file, and it just makes it huge. So that's where that comes from. We're going to scale up in edit mode this ball, just so that we have something a little bit bigger to start from. And now, the reason it brought the hood piece is that all these objects are depending on this piece as the mirror object. You can see here, cube 01. So what I need to do, I want to maintain that because I don't want to go one by one and update all of the mirror objects. So I'm gonna Control J to combine this sphere object with this one. Control J, and then we can remove all the geometry we don't need. So now it's using our sculpt object as the mirror object. We don't need the mirror modifier on it, or solidify, or subsurf. All right, so I've got some car wheels in here. And now let's Shift D to duplicate, move it back in Y. So just having kind of ballparked the wheel position, that will help us in trying to, design a concept around these wheels. Suicide doors are when the doors front and back open from the same point, turning the entire sides of the car into a big opening. Oh, I got you. Like this maybe, whereas the other ones were like this. Anyway. That makes sense. Gull wing doors is what those are called. Question: have you ever tried to incorporate the flaky, sparkling thingy car paint has in the car paint shader forge? Wasn't there... I thought that I included sparkles in there. Wait, did I not? Let's see, whoops. I want to say that I did. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, yes you did. Thank you. So there, Omar, I did include it. It probably wasn't... If I could go back and redo the car paint shader, I think I could level it up a little bit. I think it was pretty simple, if I recall. But anyway, maybe for the shading class, we will explore that further. All right, so I've got this big blob of clay, and we're just going to start from there and begin sculpting our vehicle. We're going to use snake hook. And just start, let's see, I need to enable dynamic topology. I want subdivide collapse, detail size of 5 will be good. And let's just start. I mean, there's not much to this. I'm just trying to bring out an object that would fit around our wheels. And this is going to be kind of blocky and yucky for a while. Let's see. So I can start thinking about the eagle design. I kind of get an impression that the front of the car looking like the eagle head could look a little tacky. But let's see. Maybe I will, you know, if we look at our art down here, it's kind of like, you know, you've got this beak right here. Maybe this could be the hood. The beak could be the hood, and then this bump right here could be like where the people sit. The interior. Maybe I can go for that kind of design. And therefore, this beak, if I change the curve, try and pull out a beak shape at the front. Change my curve back to where I had it. Let's see. Now I'm just, you know, thinking. The fun part about this is that you can just cut in a bunch of shapes, and if they work, great. If not, like, start over again. And so I'm just gonna, there's gonna be a lot of that, I think. Man, it's hard. This looks so stupid right now. It's kind of hard to see past the stupid shape, the stupid, like, hot dog shape, and get on to the fun part. But yeah, I mean, the first part is tricky because I wonder if I can... I'm just trying to get some contours working. It is the hardest part to start off. Maybe I don't need to start off at 5. Maybe I'll start at 10. I thought I started at 5 earlier and it went well. But maybe it's just a little too... Yeah, it's a little too finely detailed for right now. Maybe what'll help very quickly is to get the kind of these eagle wing shapes started. So I'm going to mask off an area right down here. Control I to invert. So I'm going to pull out these shapes that will serve as the wheel well. All right. Okay, so Just trying to find some shapes that are cool. This is not looking cool right now. Control I. Try and do the same thing on the back. Okay, pretty lame so far, but let's try and cut some more contours. Maybe with subdivide edges so that I don't ruin the topology on the rear wheel well. So sometimes just like cutting in large gashes or whatever can help like the shape to come along, discover new shapes. Man, this is looking so silly right now. Do I have... Oh, that's what's bothering me. My unified strength has not been on, so brushes are like stronger than others, and it's kind of annoying. All right, this will be better. Okay. Since this is so exploratory, like, I don't have a lot to say while I'm trying to figure stuff out. But I am just trying to, like, discover some shapes. That's pretty funny, Aaron. Your the awkward shapes you'll inevitably create, yeah. It happens. The body shape is just so stupidly simple right now. I really don't like it. I'm afraid... Well... I'm afraid that the beak shape at the front is pretty lame. So I'm wondering if that's the wrong idea to go for. And part of the I don't know, I'm getting into theoretical space with the design aesthetic and stuff. But I feel like whenever I'm using an animal, or whenever an animal is used for inspiration, it shouldn't be used, like, it can be used too much, right? And it becomes kind of corny in terms of design. So I'm wondering if I'm, in that realm right now. Yeah, this is so silly. Let's see. What is it? Maybe these tail feathers could be something for the back side. Like, I wonder if the whole thing just sort of spreads out, sort of like tail feathers. Well, that's maybe interesting. Yeah, spoiler. It's a good idea. I'm going to increase or decrease my detail size to allow for sharper details, because I like the way these shapes have kind of come about. It's kind of funny. I almost wish like the vehicle was turned around, like the back, what I have is the backside becomes the front. But I am trying to make these things look like eagle's wings in a general sense. Some good inspiration. Let's see. Yeah, I need some inspiration right now. What? Oh, wow, look at that. That does have an eagle aesthetic to it, doesn't it? Ooh, okay. I think I like that. So it's got this very bulbous, like really one simple shape going all, ooh, that's good. Bummer, I didn't come up with this on my own. I like that, actually. I think that's a pretty cool idea. So let's increase like the bulbousy nature of it. I'm gonna smooth out this shape. Get rid of what I've started. I do still like the wheel well feeling to have like to feel like the wings, like the upturned wings. I like that idea, so I'm going to try and keep that. It's kind of actually, if you think about it, it's sort of like a mix of the killer whale inspiration and the eagle at this point. So that's kind of fun. It is getting, so the detail size of 5 I think is leaving the mesh just too like lumpy, and I don't like that. So if I go back over that area with level 10, that'll help smooth it out. All right, so now that I've got maybe a better starting shape, maybe just move the whole thing down a bit too. Doing that in edit mode. Kind of like the feeling of these, of there being a distinct construction line between the body and the wheel well pieces. If anyone knows what is a better name for wheel well pieces, let me know. Yeah, true. So I should also probably say I'm really not thinking about like how aerodynamic it is. Number one, I just have never studied like what makes aerodynamic possible. To me, it means just sleek and smooth, frankly. So I'm not really thinking about that stuff. I'm just kind of taking the knowledge that I have of cars in general, you know, after seeing cars my entire life, and applying it to combining that with my inspirational animal. All right. Yeah, engineering will come after. Though I also, on the other hand, like sometimes the engineering probably does and should inspire the design. So like I don't want to ignore it completely. But I don't know, it's somewhere in the middle, as with most things in life. I think a nice little like ledge down here would be kind of cool. Maybe something to mask off. Control I. Snake hook. Okay. Let's see here. Another like technique that I like to use when doing hard surface sculpting is like letting the flatten brush figure some of your shapes out for you. Yeah, so see, like just flattening this at an angle like creates a really unique, interesting shape in my opinion. So it can start to create your curvature. That's kind of cool. Leave the front pretty rounded out of respect for the whole eagle aesthetic. A question, could you show at the end of the class the different steps to convert a sculpt into a nice shape for modeling with good topology? If you mean retopology, that's how I would do it. I don't think there's a very quick way to convert a sculpt into a nice shape for modeling with good topology other than retopology. Which I can definitely point you to some retopology. We do that a lot at CG Cookie, but there's not like a quick way. I think kind of in general there's not a quick way to do that, yeah, with computer graphics. But if you have like an example in mind, like if you've seen another app, like Z Remesher or something like that, I don't know if that's what you're referring to. So I think at this point, how do I like the shape so far? I think it's okay. How about you guys? Give me on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being lame and 5 being coolest thing you've ever seen. What do we think of the shape so far? If it's like 3 or above, I'll maybe stick with it and just try and work with what I have. But if it's like a 1, then maybe I'll keep trying to change the base shape. Three, oh, 4? Okay, 2.5. I appreciate the honesty here. I'm under no illusion that I am a great designer, so if it looks terrible, 3.333. If it looks terrible, I appreciate you letting me know. I would judge it at like probably a 2.5 to 3 myself. So there's no real reason, I guess, to have this gap right here. Maybe I'll just fill it. Using subdivide collapse will be the best way to fill it. I'm just going to keep using that crease brush at a high strength. Maybe go to the fill deepen brush. That'll be an easy way to do that. So we got 3s. There's a 4. Okay, we'll generally stick with the shape then. Thank you for that. Oh, sorry, Tiba, I missed your question. Do you currently use default settings of your brushes, especially for the flattened one? Yes, I tend to use the default on all the brushes except... Oh yeah, I rarely touch these settings right up here. Like if we look at flatten... Yeah, I'm using all the default settings, nothing special. You know, sometimes I've used for the scrape brush, I'll turn that into like a plane, like a planar brush, like a trim dynamic is what ZBrush calls it. But I'm not doing that here. Question: would 2 twin jet engines look good in space of the in the space between the back tires? Ooh, like a kind of like a Batman jet engine, you know, like with the big turbine and like a cylinder coming out the back. Is that what you're thinking? Questions: are we allowed to use HSM? Are we allowed to HSM some of the really small details? What does HSM mean? HSM. Yeah, if you can enlighten me to what that is. Hard surface model. Oh, all of you guys knew that? Where am I at? So HSM hard surface model. I'm gonna have to use that because that could be very useful. So I should also say, let me save this real quick. Maybe it's not looking terrible. All right, let's go with one of my other ones. So this is about the level that I would expect, right? It's very, very imprecise compared to like real hard surface modeling. So I don't expect there to be door handles or really crisp anything. Just get to a level like this, you know, to get the general shape across. That's kind of what I'm expecting. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. I can, I guess I can like share the models out with you guys if you want like a more explicit example of like what I'm expecting. But yeah, I just want something in between a blob and the final car, something in there. Hope that's clear. Or in a way, kind of the level that I get to as a result of this demo. So I think that with the beak, rather than like make that overly explicit on the front of the car, I'm sort of taking that hook round shape and incorporating it in other areas, like right here, this divot. That's kind of come about on its own. Hopefully you can see that. But that little divot came about on its own, and it feels like the beak shape to me, so I'm going to leave it in there. So I'm still being inspired by the eagle, but like maybe trying to be a little less directly influenced. I think this is looking like wings, sort of. I wonder if this hard edge is unnecessary. Maybe instead of bringing it around to the front, what if it comes down like this? Nah, I don't like that. That's kind of cool. So anytime I want to really make the crease nice and sharp, visibly sharp, I'll switch over to subdivide edges. Subdivide collapse will never get you a very sharp result. So if I pinch these guys up, we should get something quite sharp. Okay. Starting to make some progress. All right. This is also, I guess I should mention that when sculpting like this, your system can likely slow down because you'll just need more topology. Well, actually, I'm only at 18,000 verts, so I guess my computer's acting fairly sluggish compared to what it was doing earlier when I was testing it out. So it's probably OBS. I always underestimate how much OBS, how much resources OBS takes. Also, would explain why it gets hot in my room pretty fast. But in general, sculpting can be a little bit slower, especially if you get into the higher registers of polygons. I think I actually want... I removed the crease right here and kind of smoothed it out. I actually think I want to reintroduce that. I think I like that better. OBS, such a hog, yeah. Who knew? Then again, I guess my computer is getting pretty old from 2013, so gee whiz, is that 5 years already? Yikes. All right, so we've made our way. Well, it's a little bit wobbly, I would say. I don't love this shape. I should probably be a little smoother. Making our way around to the back, and I do still like the back. It has this, you know, tail feather like thing going on. Using my inflate brush to kind of smooth that out. Am I missing any questions? What if my car is a blob? You know, as long as you spend an hour or two on it, and if it still looks like a blob, that's okay. I mean, try and cut some of these edges in here. You know, it's not too hard to do that with the flatten brush and the pinch brush and the crease brush. Those are the ones I keep going to over and over. You should probably picked up on that by now. So it's not hard to add that curvature, or I mean that those edges. But like I'm really not going to hold it against you, the quality of the sculpture. I just want to see you try it, see what you come up with. Because maybe, you know, hidden in this group, in this class, a designer will rise among us, find out that they really love doing this, and give us some new car designs in the world. I don't think it's me, unfortunately, as much as I'd like it to be. Let's see, I brought this ridge around like right here, and I don't think I like that. So let's smooth it out. What can, maybe the flatten brush can give us something. Ooh, yeah, this, I'm kind of seeing this contour run the entire length of the car like this. And then these edges all terminate into one point. I think that's cool. It's still harkening back to the beak. Yeah, man, this is straight sluggish. I might need to start thinking about a new computer. All right, so I've been avoiding it so far. Huh. I think a spoiler could look kind of cool if it starts... Sorry, this is another thought. If it sort of starts in here... Let me increase the level of geometry first. I'm going to go to level 5. And so I want to create this fin, or at least like explore this idea of a fin. And so I want to increase the geometry but not change the shape much. So I'm just lightly touching the inflate brush along the area that I'm going to extract a mask from. So I'm just lightly touching this area, and then I'm going to go back over that area with a mask brush. And you can see that the geometry is much more dense there. And this could probably be best done with simple polygon geometry, but I'm going to just test it first with a sculpture. Let's go back to subdivide collapse. Help that geometry out a bit. Well, definitely a tail feather-like thing. I don't know, as an idea, is that working at all? I don't think so. I feel like I lost track of the chat a little bit. I don't think that worked out. At least not that type of spoiler. So I'm going to get rid of it. Get rid of that extra geometry. Yeah, we tried. But I think I like the idea perhaps, but not that exact style. Question, will you build your own PC? You know, I've been a pretty hardcore, not too hardcore. I've been a Mac fan for many years since college, so that's about 8 years I've been a big Mac fan, but they have lost favor with me in recent years. So I'm more open than ever to building a PC, building my own computer. But I'm not sure yet. This is a new thought. So how do you motion your hand? I tend to repeat a lot of tiny strokes, which I know is bad when sketching. Any recommendations? I tend to do that as well, even when I'm sculpting. And I don't know if it's been apparent here. I've still been doing it in this process, but it's been very sluggish, and so maybe it's not reading quite as well. But yeah, I'm doing that. I'm making like repeated strokes over the same area typically. That tends to be how I go about it. Let's see. Let's forget the fin for now, the spoiler on the back, and let's try and maybe outline. Let's look back at that So let's see how they went about the, wow, look at these windows. That's wild. I do like that though. So maybe we can outline some of our own. I don't want to copy that too much. That's part of the reason, like, I try to look at as little reference as possible to try to come up with something unique. But as you guys saw, it was a rough start. I'm just trying to roughly get a shape outlined. Let's see. Okay, so they don't really have a roof at all. This would actually probably be best done with the smooth stroke option. Question, are you using a mouse or a pen? I'm using a pen. Do you think the model being that big impacts the computer performance? I don't think so. As far as the object scale? Man, if it was... No, because like these wheels came from my other car and they like that worked completely fine. So no, I don't think that's part of the issue. I'm getting, the reason I'm touching the bottom now is I'm getting this impression that like the bottom is just so smooth and like non-structural almost that it kind of hurts the design. So I'm just sort of getting this like ideas at this point. In the creative process, it's kind of a good place, better than the start for sure, because like I have enough of the forms that I can kind of isolate certain areas and like explore in isolation, rather than like at the start, you know, you had nothing to go off of. So anyway, like as I orbit around the model, I see little bits of little areas that I would like to address, you know. And so it's kind of fun to approach it that way. Like I feel like bringing this down and making it kind of flat would be nice. Maybe not completely flat and square. Let's see, question. So is the wheel based on real world spacing and proportions? How did you determine the starting point? So if you remember, I don't know if you saw it, but I literally just like spread them out a certain length, you know, not a certain length, just I spread them out. But maybe they are too small. I don't know if we have opinions on what we think. If they're feeling too small, like let me know, because that is something I can definitely change. But So far, I just put them out an arbitrary amount. I didn't measure them very specifically. Maybe the vehicle could come down a little bit, though. If I tab into edit mode and move it down. Making sure it's not lower than the car, though. I feel like the back wheel should be bigger than the front ones. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I like that change. I think I saw. Last question. Sorry, Omar. Did you ever play the Super Nintendo game called Rock and Roll Racing? I did not play that game. Does it look like something from there? So Shadow is basically a streaming thing, like you're renting a high power server to do work on. Sorry, that's not a question for me. I have not played that game, Omar. If this looks like a vehicle from there, I'd be very curious to see what that looks like. I do feel like a spoiler could be an improvement. Like, do something unique with the back side that also incorporates the eagle aesthetic. Let's try it. So, I mean, it's not sculpting, but like it would be kind of silly to sculpt this shape, I think. Whereas we could very easily create it with simple polygons. So let's add a plane. And I'm just going to delete everything but one vertex. But yeah, I'm just going to start to create like a shape. Add a mirror modifier so we get that for free. Switching over to proportional editing with the sharp fall off. Wonder if, trying to figure out a good shape. Let's add a solidify. But we have several options with this thing. Tebow, you think it looks fun? That's awesome. It is fun. I'm not super thrilled with the way this design has gone. I just wish I was a better designer, like this kind of thing. But it is a lot of fun regardless. Just the potential to create unique things, stuff that no one's ever seen before, like that is a lot of fun. So I'm definitely hoping you guys experience that. But as far as this shape goes, like, let's just invert it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out something cool. And this is kind of cool, I guess. I'll just run with it. I'm going to duplicate this piece, scale it down, and extrude. So yeah, it's sort of continuing with the eagle wing idea. The freegle. If you want, can you... Oh, wait. That's not to me. Maybe if you brought the real wheel arches up into a spoiler. Oh, I see what you mean. I mean, that's not a bad... That's kind of what I was doing. Well, not really. I just felt like there needed to be another piece of geometry in the back. But I like the idea. I do like where your head's at. Let's see, anything else? Any other ideas that I'm missing? Looks like a frog to me more than an eagle. I think that's a fair point. Yeah, I think that's a really fair point. And so it makes me wonder, like, what would make this look more like an eagle? Is it... Yeah, what would... Yeah, what is that thing? I mean, I'm thinking like skinnier. Does it need to be like a skinnier body? What about... I mean, I could tab into edit mode and like scale the whole thing flat. Let's see. More pointy. I mean, it seems a little less froggish when it's flattened out like this. So I kind of like the flattened out look. Definitely looks more sleek. And then if I came in here... Or yeah, we can just change the inspiration to a frog instead of an eagle. Uh-oh, guys. Okay, we're live again. Awesome. I am sorry about that. Remember what I said about a new computer? This is the first time it's ever crashed during a stream, but that is not a good sign. So let's see where we left off. Oh my gracious. So I haven't saved it in a while. Let's see if we have a recovery. What is today? Yeah, this might be it. That's not it. Let me see. Nuts. I might have lost our progress. What about... Hold on, let me see if I can find my scene. Where is it? It's car sculpting 3, blend 1. Good night. Well, that might have been all for naught. Okay, well, if I can't find this, I'm trying to remember where... Recover and autosave. Should have been right here. Yeah, I think I changed the temp to be system file. Yeah, so my temporary folder is the temp is this temp that I'm clicking on. And I I guess it didn't do it. That's a bummer. I mean, it wasn't the most amazing thing in the world anyway, but that kind of puts a damper on the stream a little bit. But if anybody has any questions, maybe we'll just spend the next 10 minutes, whatever. If you have any questions, let me know. Lesson learned, definitely save more often than I do. I think the recovery probably froze too, yeah. I mean, my computer is giving it everything right now. Everything it's got. But can you show how you retopo? Sure. I mean, yeah, I'll spend a couple minutes doing that. So retopology, I mean, again, we teach this all the time. First, let me show you on the website where you can find retopology. So in the 2 courses that I mentioned, helmet, for example, tons of retopology here. It's going to be super useful. So check this course out, the sci-fi helmet course. Very much relevant retopology insight. But I mean, sure, I can show you what a retopology of this would look like. I would start with a plane. Shift A. Actually, what I would really do is, so I've said this before. Let me show you why. So Shift A, let's add a plane. Let's just start the process. Alt G, remove, I like to remove all verts except one, just to start completely fresh. Change it to face snapping. And so yeah, snapping on, then to face, and I'm gonna select this 3rd option in edit mode. All right. So I've got my single vertex, and we're going to start extruding with E, and all of this is going to be sticking to the surface. So I'm curious, I think Mr. Dojo, you're asking about this. If I turn on clipping in the mirror modifier, it will stop at the center axis. Mr. Dojo, have you ever, do you know how to retopologize maybe from another app, like Maya or something? Or is this your first time retopologize? Just curious. We do have some questions. Awesome. Model some flowers. Do you ever use Retopo Flow? I use 1.3 a bit. I find 2.0 does not work nearly as well. Uh-oh. I actually don't use Retopo Flow beyond testing. Again, I've said this a lot, but it's since as an instructor for Blender, I try and teach from as stock Blender as possible. So I don't use add-ons too often enough to get dependent on them, because I always want to be able to teach from stock Blender. But Retopo Flow is an incredible tool created in-house. Jonathan Williamson has spent a lot of blood, sweat, and tears on Retopo Flow, so it's extremely good. But no, I don't use it beyond testing. Not because it's not good, but just because, I feel like it's easier for me to teach stock Blender if I stick to stock Blender. Would it be a good idea to start to sculpt parts as separate models like we've been doing the past couple weeks, hood, door, etc., or is it sculpting primarily as one mesh like you've been doing? Is it more effective? I think as a concept sculpture, I think it is more effective to sculpt as one big piece up until a point. Right here, I think everything's worked good as one piece. This is what I did earlier today. So I think this has worked really well. And now is when I start to retopologize it, and it will break up into multiple pieces along the way. But I think just being able to sculpt the one solid piece is helpful for this particular brand of sculpting, I guess. This particular situation. I think it would just be a pain to try and make everything line up. But I don't know. I mean, try it, and if it does work, if you find it works better for you to sculpt it in pieces. Like I'm not going to say this my way is the only way. Definitely not. Mr. Dojo, Kent, I have tried the new RetopоFlow add-on. It's really fun, but your method seems faster. Only use it for ZBrush sculpts in the past, not to actually model. So I'm not sure. I haven't used RetopоFlow to model hard surface objects before. I should try that. That should be something that we test. This method, I'm not sure if it would qualify as faster because it's very, very manual. Like, clicking and pointing. It's kind of, I used to use TopoGun back in the day, and it reminds me a little bit of TopoGun. But it's literally just like edge modeling like I've been doing the entire class, but it's just sticking to the model instead of freeform modeling. But yeah, this is kind of the gist of it. So if you know how to model, then retopology is pretty simple. And so I've got one piece retopologized right there. And maybe I could separate it and like duplicate and start on this other piece if you wanted to start cutting up the object into pieces. But yeah, I mean, I can really get lost in a retopology. But that's interesting that you're coming from ZBrush. I too used to use ZBrush back in the day. It still remains the only 3D application I've paid full price for. Mr. Dojo, the F2 add-on doesn't work with the RetopоFlow, so you have to click 3 times for one face. Oh, that's interesting. Surely that's something that they would have thought about. Yeah, I would think that's an obvious thing. I don't have Jonathan Williamson with me right now to ask, but surely you don't have to do it in 3 clicks, because that seems like low-hanging fruit to fix. The problem I have with 2.0 is it just doesn't work half the time, like in Polyline. Oh, isn't 2.0 still in work in progress? RetopоFlow RetopоFlow 2.0 is coming soon. It will be free upgrade to all 1x customers. Okay, so it is still work in progress. That's why it's probably working half the time. I mean, I'm certain it'll be more reliable once it's fully developed. Cool. Mr. Dojo, does this kind of help, like, give you a primer on retopology? Is there anything else you'd like to see specifically? Again, retopology is a slow process, so it's best seen in the context of the course. And I do it in the sci-fi helmet course. I'm trying to think any other this is probably the best example of hard surface retopology. There's a ton in this course, so definitely check that out. But I'm sorry, guys, about the computer crashing. That is no fun. So yeah, sorry about that. But if you have any other questions, I'll try and answer those. And then I'm trying to think, is there anything else to clarify about this week in terms of homework, or if you have any questions about that stuff? Oh, robot course. Yeah, definitely. I forgot about that one. That has a lot of retopology as well. Let me see. Where is that? This one, building a game character. I think I retopo twice, right? Sculpting 2, kit bashing, retopology 2. Yeah, I retopologized twice. Once for high resolution, which is subsurface based modeling. So I retopo for high res, and then I also retopo for low res. Is there a retopo in this sci-fi gun? Yeah, there is. You're right. Initially, we released that course as two separate ones. I did the sculpting, and then Jonathan Williamson did the retopology and modeling. But I think it's since been combined into one. Yeah, sculpting and then hard surface retopology. So yeah, tons of retopology stuff. Matthew Ulray question: any courses that cover how to use B surfaces add-on? Not for a long time. I honestly haven't seen much about B surfaces in the last several years, so I'm not sure how much it's used anymore. I mean, I think it was great when it came out, but then it kind of inspired a lot of other tools to be built that kind of do it better, and I think RetopFlow is one of them. William Miller, I made it. You did. We're probably going to wrap it up here in the next few minutes. It was kind of derailed by my computer crashing completely, but welcome to the last few minutes. From Balk Post question: best courses here, a resource for learning good UV mapping. Good UV mapping. Let's see. I mean, in the shading the helmet course is a good one. This one is really good as far as laying out the UVs for all these different pieces. There's UV unwrapping. Where else? Let's just look at all our texturing stuff. It's hard to remember all the courses that we have. There's texturing in this one, building modular game assets. That involves UV mapping. Where else? Surely texturing weapons in Blender has UV unwrapping. Texturing game assets with Blender, that's a good one. It's also more introductory if that's what you're looking for. You're probably beyond the fundamentals of texturing. And yeah, I already mentioned shading the sci-fi helmet. So those are good ones. If anyone else has suggestions. Oh yeah, thank you, Greg. The retopo, that's actually the best place to start. Introduction to retopology, without a doubt. Let's see that. It's in the modeling flow, I believe. Intro to retopology, this one right here. Yeah, that one's going to be very, very useful. That's the perfect place to start. Definitely start there, Mr. Dojo. But yeah, if there's any other questions, let them rip. Otherwise, I'll wrap it up. Kept you almost 2 hours. And suffered a crash. That sucks. But it probably wasn't going to turn out to be the best concept car design ever. Probably it wasn't going to be that. There's a chance, but probably not. Anyway, yeah, so I'm gonna let you guys go. I would love to see you try to sculpt some hard surface stuff, some hard surface hovercrafts or ships, planes, you know, cars, whatever you want. But I would just love to see you try and see if you explore and find new shapes, if you enjoy doing it, but just expand your skill set a little bit. So that's going to be all for today, and I will see you next week. So we are going to have a 5th live stream to just wrap up the class very nicely, talk about week 4's homework, and this was, you guys requested this at the end of the last class that you would like a wrap-up stream. So that's what we're going to do next week, and it's going to be very hangout-ish. I don't think there's going to be any real demo unless you guys want to see something specific. But other than that, it'll just kind of be us hanging out, wrapping up the class, enjoying cupcakes and sharing stories and just hanging out in general. But with that said, I will see you next week, and have a good rest of your Tuesday. All right? See you guys.